Hello and welcome to today's webinar, 4 Practical Ways Cloud Simplifies Managing Apps, Devices, and Data. My name is Linda Rayleigh and I'll be your host for today's presentation. Our featured speaker today is Vishal Ganarwala, Senior Director for Citrix Workspace Services. Before we get started, let me cover a couple of housekeeping details. We will have a dedicated question and answer session at the end of today's presentation and invite you to submit your questions at any time during the presentation using the Ask a Question window in the webinar interface. Also, this event is being recorded and a link to the on-demand version will be sent to everyone in a follow-up email. With that, I now hand it over to Vishal to start the presentation. Welcome again and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Linda. So let's get started right away. 4 practical ways cloud simplifies managing apps, devices, and data. So if we look a long time ago, which is year 2005, our workplace used to be really simple. We all probably had a Windows PC under our desk, or perhaps a Mac, and we used to work on simple apps, enterprise apps, which were probably installed on those machines. And all our data resided and all the apps resided inside our data centers. IT was much simpler. Apps were on-prem, and users accessed through their company-issued desktops. And if we fast forward a little bit and look at a decade of innovation and what's gone through in our IT industry, something amazing has happened. Did we know that the Amazon Web Services, Windows AMIs, were available in 2008, just 10 years ago? Before that, there was no Amazon EC2 platform. There was no platform for you to store your files on Amazon Web Services. And Azure and Google Cloud came much later. And all the amazing devices we work on today, from Android or iPhones and everything else, they're less than 10 years old. And the network we have come to expect on our mobile phones, the so-called 4G LTE, is only 3 to 4 years old. And so with all the amazing innovations, which has made the user's life really easy and brought in the consumerization of IT, has evolved into a little bit more complexity. So if we look at the world today, with all the new devices and the new cloud services and all the new apps which are available for us, has made a world a little bit more complex. The work is distributed, and apps and content is moving to the clouds. In fact, 90% of the enterprises are now using SaaS apps, with typical enterprise using 14 SaaS apps alongside their traditional on-prem apps. And 60% of employees store their and share sensitive company information in cloud storage locations. And so the more and more discussions when I have with IT leaders and when I get to talk to our customers is not why move to the cloud, which was happening a few years ago, to why not move to the cloud, and how do I do it? And so employees using all these multiple endpoints and working from different locations, and IT workloads which are moving beyond company and data centers to regional branches and multiple public and private clouds need a newer solution. And to back up some of the claims around complexity, we did a research with IDC and did a survey with our customers and found out that 82% of the IT leaders still believe that their organizational ability to move their apps to the cloud is hindered by the complexity. And so when complexity increased, what some of the IT shops did is added more point solutions because their users demanded those business apps or their business need evolved. And, this worked to a point, but then the complexity is having unintended consequences. So let's take a look at some of the consequences which are happening in the industry. So when we look at some of the consequences and maintaining a status quo, the end users are now being forced to navigate multiple cloud environments, each with varying user experiences and each requiring different access credentials. Companies are increasingly uncertain who's accessing their apps or where their sensitive data resides. Even when using the most secure cloud offerings, company information remains in browser cache, where it can't be effectively protected. And as an IT professional, I bet you are struggling to monitor, let alone even manage it all. So we believe there is a better way. And we believe that together we can take advantage of cloud today and solve some of these issues. So we essentially have two choices. We can either maintain a status quo and add to the complexity, but I know many of us will choose the latter. So let's see how a Citrix cloud strategy helps you. So to manage the cloud sprawl without sacrificing the benefits of cloud itself, IT needs a more efficient and comprehensive way to organize, manage, and secure all cloud services used across the organization, from frontline SaaS apps to behind-the-scene workloads, to file storage and sharing. This modern IT framework also must bridge the multiple legacy on-premises and custom apps and data stores upon which the organizations continue to rely. In short, the Citrix approach to empowering you to adopt changes as you want to layer, and when you layer further confidence into your IT strategy and supports your desire to embrace the reality that complexity will continue to accelerate. In a nutshell, if you want to manage all your apps, all your devices, and all your location, in honest, the cloud is the simplest, fastest way of doing these things. And Citrix has a unique strategy in doing these things. Let's take a look at that. So in the more flexible Citrix cloud model, we preserve cloud simplicity with the choice you need. We provide the management as a cloud service, which is our unique value proposition. We ensure simplicity in the form of consistent UI and single console for administrators, services, and any SaaS-style upgrades to all your services. However, we also enable deployment of certain environments into whatever infrastructure you desire or define. You can choose any hypervisor, any cloud, and any on-prem environments. So this allows you to define where you want your workloads, your data, your intellectual property to reside. And most of all, this gives you the choice. With your choice of where to deploy, you can better manage compliance, security, and data sovereignty issues. And most of all, you're no longer logged into only one economic model from only one cloud provider. You now have an option to use Citrix Cloud to manage multiple locations. Typically, we see the large enterprises who are operating in multiple geographies also have multiple sites, and they are leveraging our cloud services to simplify their IT management. Let's take a look at our public cloud partnerships. So we have partnerships with Amazon Web Services, which go way back as 2008 when we made our first Zen app servers available in Amazon, which is almost 10 years ago. And we have been keeping up with the pace with every single cloud provider as they are lightening up. We have a fantastic relationship with Azure Cloud. Our Oracle Cloud and Google Cloud platforms have been a recent announcements last year. And now if you are an enterprise who are looking to host your workloads, and have strategic workloads in Oracle or Google Cloud, you can do the exact same thing. But that's not all. If you're a customer looking to do things on-prem using HCI appliances and use vendors like Nutanix, you can do that as well. Or you can also have your hybrid environments with any of the hypervisors, the traditional hypervisors you have come to know from XenServer, vSphere, or Hyper-V. Again, the choice is yours. In a hybrid cloud, multi-cloud world, Citrix is the only vendor who gives you so many options and options which are right for you. Now, you must be asking, what about on-premises customer? So make no mistake, Citrix investments in cloud services benefit all our customers. So even if you want to remain on-prem, no problem. You benefit too by extending your deployment with the new insights and tools. For example, our Smart Tools services, Smart Check, they can provide real-time insights to help you stay on top of your site's health. It can help diagnose potential issues before they become problems and learn about recommended fixes to keep your apps running smoothly. And this is one of our fastest growing cloud service. Nearly 1 million users across 1,000 customers, including 75,000 VDAs under management. Our Smart Scale service delivers adoption metrics that helps you keep your cost of your cloud-based deployments under control. In fact, one large university is using our XenApp and XenDesktop on Amazon Cloud and using the Smart Scale service to perform performance checks as well as scaling their workloads up and down and cutting the monthly cost by 60%. So as you move your workloads to these public clouds, one of the things you would want to do is keep the cost down and lower your compute and storage costs. And Citrix Cloud Services can help you do those things. You can also embrace the hybrid cloud strategy by leveraging your Citrix workloads where they are and then adopting the control panel from the Citrix Cloud. So you can move and run Citrix as a management service and keep all your workloads on-prem. Or you can go whole hog and get the benefits of rapid deployment, continuous innovation, simplified management by adopting a complete portfolio of services which are in the cloud. So there is something for everyone when you think about cloud services. Even if you're on-prem, whether you're doing hybrid or you're going all public. So now let's take a look at some of the benefits. So when we look at some of the benefits around Citrix Cloud, this is the only platform on the hybrid side which helps you look at your performance needs, give you a very practical exit strategy from one cloud provider to the other cloud provider. It helps you from migration between the clouds, and you can use some of our services which are built in to do just that. And now it gives you a choice whether you're doing an M&A or opening up a new data center to geolocate your apps and data near your users, giving them the best performance they deserve. And being closer to the data, you're not only improving the user experience, but in some cases also honoring some of the data sovereignty laws in those locations. As I was talking about the Smart Scale, you can optimize your costs by selecting the right infrastructure or using cloud scaling capabilities. And also, from the specific infrastructure needs perspective, maybe you want to choose a cloud which gives you high-performing NVIDIA cards, or you want to pick a cloud which gives you a virtual machine which has way more higher density from the memory perspective, but less on the CPU side. You get the point. You can choose the right cloud provider and the right virtual machines, the right storage, depending on your workload and depending your needs. Now, if I have to sum it up, all our benefits on how cloud's really helping out, the 4 ways the cloud simplifies managing your apps, devices, and data is essentially it makes it really, really simple. Look, you can either build everything on your own on-prem and try to integrate, different point products, or you can simply choose a Citrix portfolio which is integrated in the cloud and all delivered management as a service. You get unified, reliable access for all your apps and data. These services are fast to deploy. So instead of building these things and going on and purchasing all the hardware and then thinking about how to scale, you can rapidly deploy your Citrix services in hours instead of months. And they are inherently secure. The reason of the security comes in from there are no configuration errors because they come pre-integrated in the clouds. They're always up to date, so you don't have to worry about any 0-day flaws or issues coming up. The analytics service, which we are building in the cloud, integrates and talks with each other, so you can do risk-based scoring across your users, apps, and data. And then finally, the cloud services are adaptable. They have flexibility to run and support workloads across any cloud, whether they are on-premises, public, or private. And they give you visibility into business insights, powered by the rich analytics services we have in the cloud. So if you are thinking of delivering a digital workspace to your end users, you have to think cloud first. The reason you have to think cloud first is at the pace at which the businesses are moving and the demands IT has on them, you will not be able to simply catch up on those things. Now, in that sense, we also have a view around how you can design things for the user. So let's take a look at that. So from a Citrix point of view, we believe that the future of the work puts user at the center. And what I mean by that is essentially that we have already agreed upon things such as work is no longer a place. The world has already moved beyond the PC and the data center, and it may very well even move beyond the cloud. So in the future, the only device which will really matter will be your users and you. Work will occur everywhere where the user is, whether you are working from your laptop on a corporate network or a smartphone on the road or in the coffee shop. This can be a doctor in the hospital room or a nurse in the cafeteria. Work will happen wherever the user is. And to improve the employee engagement and productivity, your users will need a digital workspace, which is context-aware, reliable, intelligent, and enough to offer the right access and the right insights and the right performance to get the job done. And we define this solution and call it a Citrix workspace. A Citrix workspace is simply a solution from Citrix, which puts user at one end and IT on the other end. What the user expects and needs is unified experience and access to all their apps and data whenever they want. And from an IT perspective, they get simplified control and more visibility into all their apps and data. So let's expand on that a little bit more. Let's look at the user benefits in a little bit more details. So from a user perspective, the unified access to all the apps and content they need to be productive and work done are anywhere, on any device, anytime. The Workspace Services build upon our proven virtualization and networking and content collaboration capabilities to give users a unified access to all their apps and data through a UI which is pretty modern and feels local. All your apps are designed to work with the native interfaces, be it mobile, PC, or Mac. And unlike some other vendors, we recognize that the experience is more than just a pretty face. We back it up with contextual access and contextual performance. So, for example, if you are in a train with a 4G network, we make sure that the experience you get, even though it might slightly be slower, but you get access to all your apps. And if you're in the office on a high-speed internet, your experience will look a little bit different and will adapt to all the available bandwidth. And the result is simple. The users get this unified experience, and they simply get the work done, whether they're in the office, coffee shop, or on the go. Now let's take a look at what the IT gets. Now, from the IT perspective, the Workspace Services make it really easy for them, and even networking guys, for configuring and managing their workspace environment. So first of all, we are agnostic to where the workload is running. That makes it good for customers and good for you. If the customers want to keep or you want to keep your particular app or group of apps running on premises, you can, including Citrix apps like XenApp and Zendextop. If you want to move to Azure, AWS, or Google, you can. And if you want to access those apps using hyper-converged offerings like Nutanix or HP, or full desktop as a service offerings, you can do that too. Now, Citrix Workspace Service gives you the single control plane to onboard all your apps. We have built upon and enhanced the best-in-class app layering capabilities. From an acquisition, we had Unidesk to make it really easy to onboard all your apps and package them and move them to the cloud. It also makes it easy for you to move workloads between the clouds. You can manage all your devices and adopt the modern endpoint management, also known as sometimes unified endpoint management. So devices can be boarded, policies can be set, and all your devices, whether they are iOS, Android, Win 10, or Mac, can be monitored from a single location. And around content, unlike other providers and vendors, the Workspace extends to include the security policies and workflows across all your data needs. And the result is this unified consoles around running all your services and simplified onboarding from a XenApp Zendextop perspective, Zen Mobile perspective, which is our mobility solution, or ShareFile, which is our data and content collaboration solution. You have visibility and simplified management across all your apps, desktops, mobile, data, and performance analytics. And then finally, the results. The Citrix customers see some real results across all the three things which are really important for businesses around security and compliance, cost and efficiency, and employee productivity. 2 out of 3 customers tell us that they see Citrix as an important vendor and very vital to their security in architecture. More than half of our customers tell us that Citrix is helping them reduce the devices they have in their at their locations. And nearly 80% of our customers tell us that their users tell that they're more productive when they're using Citrix. And here's some of the customer examples. And when we look at some of our customers from Partners Healthcare, who choose to go to the cloud journey with Citrix, and they're using Citrix Cloud to deliver all their apps and data to hundreds of thousands and thousands of people in their location. When we look at JetBlue, They're using Citrix Cloud to deliver a unified virtual desktops to the gate agents and other employees across multiple device types. They're leveraging Citrix to ensure that their security, disaster recovery, and data sovereignty goals are met. And they're seeing huge savings, even during just their first year, by moving their desktops to the cloud. And then finally, another really great customer, Autodesk. They're using Citrix Cloud and Workspace Services to drive a hybrid multi-cloud strategy with Citrix and transitioning their workloads from Amazon to Azure. And they're delivering this unified and personalized virtual workspaces for over 2,000 employees. And they're using Citrix to deliver virtual apps and desktops to all their field demos, whether they're using iPads, laptops, or any other devices. And some of their beta customers are also testing this environment for their customers. So with that said, I would like to conclude this webinar and again remind everyone that if they're looking to do workspaces and integrate all their apps, data, mobile needs, and data needs, we believe cloud is the simplest, fastest, secure, and most adaptable way of doing things. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishal. Now, as we move into Q&A, I'd like to remind our audience, if you have a question, please submit it in the Ask a Question area on your screen. Simply type your question into the text box and hit Submit. And we've had a few questions come in while Vishal was presenting, so let's get started. First question. Can I keep some workloads on-prem and still use cloud services to manage them?
Thank you for that question, Linda. So it's a really good question. So as I was saying, yes, absolutely. And if you're an existing customer or a new customer and you have some of the apps, and for compliance reasons or because of the security reasons, if you want to keep those apps on-prem, you can absolutely keep those apps on-prem running on whatever infrastructure you're running them on. What Citrix Cloud will provide is a control plane which will help you deliver these apps to your users, and your users can be anywhere on any device.
Great, thank
Next
you.
Question.
Next question. Many of our business units are adopting SaaS and mobile apps, which I now have to manage in addition to the Windows apps. How does your cloud solution help me there?
Again, a great question. So as we were talking through the webinar, and we clearly established that the world's and our enterprise customers are adopting more and more SaaS apps and more mobile apps. You need a solution which goes just beyond managing virtual apps and desktops. You need a solution which integrates across all your SaaS, all your mobile, and all your Windows apps. So we have Zen Mobile Services, which help you manage all your mobile needs. And we have our NetScaler Gateway Services, which will help you manage all your SaaS needs. And all these services come pre-integrated in the cloud, and so you don't have to do a lot of integration yourself. And the advantage of doing the pre-integration is now that you'll get better security, and better analytics since these services talk to each other, and a more unified platform to deliver all your apps. Hopefully this helps.
Thank you. Next, how does this workspace as a service approach help with PC or operating system migration?
Another good question. So let me start by taking a specific example around Windows 10. And a lot of our customers are currently migrating or upgrading from Windows 7 to Windows 10. But once they get even to Windows 10, they're still in this constant loop of upgrading every 6 months to a year, which they were not really used to because Windows 10 itself comes in as a service. And the way our cloud services help simplify this migration from Windows 7 to Windows 10 or just keep upgrading your OSs from Windows 10 model is, number one, since Citrix control plane is always up to date and supports the latest and greatest versions of Windows 10. So you don't have to worry about when Microsoft releases the next release of current branch for business for Windows 10, whether you will be supported or not. So that helps out there. And B, our app loading solution really helps take your apps, package them, and move them from one operating system to the next one, and really helps you keep up to date with these updates. In addition, we have our migration tools, AppDNA, which obviously checks for application compatibility, and obviously tools which are built in from monitoring and management perspective, which make sure once you do upgrade, we can tell you the performance of your apps and the impact of your apps from one operating system to the next one. Hope this helps.
Great, thank you. Next question coming from a current Citrix customer. He has Citrix on-prem today. Can I keep a mix of on-prem and cloud licenses?
Oh, a great question again. So absolutely yes. You can have some on-prem licenses and some cloud licenses if you choose to do those things and create different sites. But what we recommend our customers is, in fact, is the hybrid option or the hybrid rights they get when they trade up their licenses and get to our XenApps and desktop services or Workspace Services model, which essentially then gives you these hybrid rights to use, continue to use their on-prem XenApp and Zen desktop licenses for 2 years, and as they move to the cloud. So if you have apps which you want to keep on-prem, you certainly can. This shouldn't really stop you from using the Citrix Cloud Control pane, and this gives you enough time. The hybrid rights, which is again very unique to Citrix, gives you enough time to move your Citrix infrastructure to the control plane. Hope
Great, thank you. Yes, it seems to. And then the next question is, how can I get a demo?
So we have weekly seminars available where usually our SEs or salespeople, they go live online and they do this custom demos. And you can also go to citrix.com/events to register, or you can just simply contact your salesperson or a partner for a custom demo.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Vishal, very much for the presentation and for answering our attendees' questions. That brings us to the end of our presentation. I'd like to thank you again for a very informative presentation and all the questions coming in, and thank you for joining us. A quick reminder, you can register for upcoming webinars and events by going to citrix.com/events, and you'll be receiving an on-demand version of this webinar shortly. We hope you have a great day.